What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And as you know, James Harden has made his way to the Brooklyn Nets in a blockbuster deal that saw a ton of people change teams. Now for this video, I just want to focus on the Brooklyn Nets and specifically James Harden. But on your screen right now, you can see the full trade and what everyone got in return. Caris LeVert went to the Pacers, Jarrett Allen and Taurean Prince went to the Cavaliers, and the Rockets got Victor Oladipo, Kurucs, Dante Exum, and 8 first-round picks. Now, by far the biggest name that got dealt in this trade was James Harden, and it's no secret that he has been unhappy in Houston for quite some time. Now, Harden going to Brooklyn, I am very excited, but I also am very concerned. As in this trade, Brooklyn lost their best rim protector and arguably their best defender in Jarrett Allen, and they lost their best bench scorer, that being Caris LeVert. And this Brooklyn team was already pretty bad when it came to interior defense, as they ranked 26th in the NBA in opponents' points in the paint at 49.7 points per game. And they also ranked last in opponents' second chance points at 16.3. So with the loss of Jarrett Allen, their best rebounder, that makes this Nets team even worse on the defensive and offensive glass. And for me, I've watched a ton of Brooklyn Nets games, and it's pretty obvious if you watched one or two that DeAndre Jordan, he is really struggling, and he's not the same DeAndre Jordan that he was with the Clippers or even with the Dallas Mavericks like 3 years ago. This DeAndre Jordan, he really is a shell of himself, and he's not comparable to someone like Jarrett Allen. Now, getting to the positives of this trade, Brooklyn obviously getting James Harden, they're getting a perennial MVP candidate and one of the best offensive players in the league and the best shooting guard. And off the top of my head, I cannot think of a big three that was more offensively talented than James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving. And I've already seen a lot of people saying there's only going to be one basketball. These guys are going to struggle. Harden can't play off ball, and this team's being a mess offensively. And I think those are some pretty valid concerns and some pretty big points of emphasis. But for two players like KD and Kyrie, who you've seen be versatile offensively, I think those two guys, they'll be able to adapt and kind of conform to James Harden, as Harden is not a very good off-ball player. And KD, as we saw in Golden State, he is deadly off the ball, and Kyrie, he's not as good, but he can also play off ball better than James Harden. And I think Steve Nash, as well as Mike D'Antoni, they have their work cut out for them when it comes to touches as well as shots. Now, KD and Harden, they have played together before, but that was back when Harden was a sixth man coming off the bench, so they really haven't played together as superstars. And Kyrie, as you guys know, as much as I love him, he's pretty up and down when it comes to his moods and his attitude off the court. Now, just in my personal opinion, I think this Nets team, they will find a way to put together, as they're too offensively talented not to find a way to work, and those three players are just simply too smart. The biggest problem for this team, I think, is going to be attitudes and chemistry. Can you build enough chemistry in 60 games with three guys as talented as them? It's going to be a really tall task for Steve Nash as well as Mike D'Antoni. And I will be really interested to see who's taking the last shot in these games. If it was me coaching the team, I think KD would be the go-to option, or I would take Kyrie isolation and have KD playing off ball. Harden, I think, is the last option when it comes to him shooting the clutch, as over his career, he's really not shown a good ability to be a good clutch time player. And that brings me to my next point. James Harden, the knock on him through his career is that he's great for the first 45 minutes of a ball game, but the last 3 minutes, he fades. And for this Nets team, he's going to be in the perfect spot where the lights are not shining on him, they're shining on KD or Kyrie. And Harden can take a back seat in the clutch, something he's never done since his days in Oklahoma City. Now, next up, I want to talk about the expectations for this team. It is championship or bust. When you put three guys who are top 15, top 20 players, a championship is a must every single year. And if this team does not win a championship, it's going to be a very disappointing year. And if they don't make the finals and they get knocked out by the Bucks, the Celtics, or someone like that, that's going to be even more disappointing. And what I am afraid of is this Nets team turning into the Clippers of last year and flaming out early in the playoffs. And I think chemistry and continuity, that is a premium in the NBA for a championship team. And I am going to predict this Nets team to make the NBA Finals without them even playing a second on the court. I think they are that talented, they have that good at coaching, and I think they will figure out how to put it together. But make no mistake, the Los Angeles Lakers with LeBron and AD are still the best team in the NBA. And I do think the Lakers, they will win the championship this year. As LeBron, he is the best player, him and AD are the best duo, and they have the best depth and the best bench in the entire NBA. And when it comes to depth, the Lakers blow that Nets team out of the water. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is people classifying this Nets team as a super team because they have 3 top 20, top 15 guys. And by most people's standards, this would be a super team. But I do find it kind of odd how the Lakers aren't viewed as a super team, but they are still better than this Nets team that most people are calling a super team. So I think the super team label in this case, it is kind of meaningless just because Brooklyn is so top heavy and the Lakers top to bottom are the better overall team. And I did lie, I want to talk about one more thing, and that is the incessant need for LeBron fans to make every single trade, every single big time news about LeBron James. The Nets trading for Harden had nothing to do with LeBron. And this kind of notion that superstars are going east because LeBron went west, it just is not true in the slightest. LeBron came to LA in his first year, he did not even make the playoffs. And KD after that year went to Brooklyn along with Kyrie. Kawhi went from the east in Toronto to the west in Los Angeles. And of course the Lakers ended up getting Anthony Davis. So the notion that superstars are kind of afraid of LeBron James, I find that comical and I find it downright stupid. And I think most level-headed and smart NBA fans realize that teams, they get better for the sole purpose of getting better. They don't get better just because LeBron James is in the Western Conference. So that was kind of my last little tangent, but in summary, I think this Nets team, they got better when it came to star power, but they lost some very valuable depth, as well as some very valuable defense, and some very valuable rim protection. And I think if they do end up meeting the Lakers in the finals, Anthony Davis is going to have an absolute field day playing against DeAndre Jordan or someone like Kevin Durant. So with all that being said, I think this Brooklyn Nets team, they will make the NBA Finals. And I think they will be the best team in the Eastern Conference, even if they don't get that #1 seed. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm sorry for the informal video, not many edits, just a couple of pictures, but I really wanted to get this video out today, and I really wanted to give you guys my thoughts on the James Harden trade. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.